Welcome to One Life, the podcast where we embrace the journey of living fully and intentionally in every area of life. My name is Matt Farnham, and while I don't have it all figured out, I'm walking this journey with you, convinced we don't have to choose between a thriving career and thriving relationships, health, and purpose. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. And together we'll explore how to create work-life harmony, reject the lies of comparison, steward our gifts, and embrace the life God desires for all of us. Welcome to One Life.
Hey friends, it's Matt Farnham here. Welcome back to the One Life podcast. Thank you again for listening and being a part of our One Life community. Today's episode is a little different, and I'm really excited to share it with you all. What you're about to hear is actually the audio from a keynote I recently gave to a room full of title and escrow professionals. What started as a simple keynote turned into unpacking the heart behind One Life. I shared parts of my story and the journey towards work-life harmony, along with some of the systems and structure we've built in our real estate business to make that possible. The principles apply to any entrepreneur, spouse, or parent trying to build a thriving business and a meaningful life at the same time. My hope is something in here sparks clarity, encourages you, or gives you permission to rethink the way you're building your business and your life. Let's dive in.
Hey guys, excited to be with you. Thank you for having me. You guys are very, very welcoming this morning. Thank you very much. So everybody hear me okay? I've never been told I'm quiet, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. So I told John there is so much, like even just on the drive here this morning, like so many different things. I was like, oh, I want to share this with them. I want to share this with them. But I'm going to try and stick to the plan. I just get super excited. I'm very passionate about the things I'm passionate about. John says some of it in the intro, but my whole life, my foundation is built on my faith. You'll just naturally kind of hear that come out when I speak. So apologize in advance if anybody doesn't align with that, but that's just a big core of who I am. And I'm very passionate about creating raving fans, right? Creating the type of business that comes back by referral. It's the most profitable way to do business. But it also, what I've learned through my journey in 21 years is what supports you to also live that balanced life that we all strive for. I don't think balance is possible in our business, but work-life harmony is. I know that sounds a little cheesy, but it's really the idea of just, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a realtor, I'm a business leader, I'm all these things all at the same time, and none of them ever really shut off. So how do we do all that in harmony? So I'm going to share with you a little bit about my story today, a little bit about our business, and although I'm talking about residential real estate sales or maybe a little bit of personal, work-life harmony stuff, I think all of it's transferable for you guys in your industries, no matter what seat on the bus you're on with Chicago Title. So I'll just get right into it. And thank you for the plug on the podcast. I'm very passionate about it. If I say anything today that's slightly valuable to you, I would just ask you to check out the podcast. I'm trying to get the word out. I think we can encourage a whole lot of entrepreneurs. It's not just for realtors. It's for, I think, anybody. It's really in any type of business seat of how do you have a thriving business and crush it, but not either or, but both and have this life of significance, be the present husband or wife or mom or dad or all those things. I think we can have it all. Just take systems and boundaries and disciplines and habits and all those things, and you'll hear some of that, what I talk about today. So with that said, let me get into it. We have a shared problem that I'm sure that you guys will agree with. Who feels like in your industry today, I know I do in mine, it's a race to the bottom to some extent. Have you felt that a little bit? Like we're all working harder for less money. Like in my industry, we have, I'm not going to be careful what I say, but we have the billboards, we have the radio ads. You go into a new home sales office and you have a flyer for trading your home in for free for an open door, an offer pad, or Zillow, or all these different things. It's just all this disruption, and it feels like we're working harder for less money. I'm sure you guys can relate. In your industry, there's disruption too. There's all these new kids coming to play, and there's the JVs and all these different things out there, right? It's all exhausting, to some extent, if we're being honest. And it puts pressure on the whole idea of work-life harmony, because if I feel like I'm working harder just to make the same income, well, that robs the time from who and what matters most in my life. I'm sure you guys have maybe felt that pressure at times. So that's really the struggle I've been going through for years. But what I have found is that when you think of the billboards and the radio ads and all the things that I deal with in my industry, it's all noise. There's just so much noise in our marketplace. It's on the radio, it's on the freeway. Like I said, it's even in your new home office that you think should be harmless. It feels like a lot of noise, but what I'm convinced of is that my raving fan is the last one that's going to hear the noise, right? If I have somebody who they think real estate, they think Matt. They hear real estate, they think Team Farnham. Then they see the billboard, it's just like white noise, like, oh, real estate, Matt's my guy. Radio ad, oh, Matt's my guy. So if we can create more and more raving fans, I'm not saying I'm naive to think that they're not eventually going to hear the noise, but I believe I have the longest runway before they're going to hear all this other stuff out there because they just know who the realtor is, right? Most profitable way to do business, most enjoyable way to do business. So that's what I would challenge you guys to think about. Let me just put a pin in that and tell you a little bit about my story. So my story is I've been doing this 21 years. I decided to get married, buy my first home, and start real estate all in the same month 21 years ago. But God's been so kind. We've been very blessed in this business. I started out of the gate as a team agent. Did 300,000 GCI my first year out of the gate. So I think I was kind of born for this industry. I love it. I love people. I'm competitive. I like to win. So that all played out pretty well for real estate. And then I did the solo agent thing. Became kind of a top producer in the office for quite a few years. Then I decided, I guess that means you're supposed to start a brokerage after that. So I ran a brokerage for 12 years with a good friend of mine. We did very well, had a lot of fun, started property management. I was doing REO, kind of did all that thing. And then really that leads to a big part of my story is I woke up one day and I'm running an office. We have an office full of people. I'm still doing probably 50 to 100 homes a year on my own, call it like an average of 70 deals a year on my own. And there's 2 full-time jobs right there, I'm sure you guys would agree. And I realized that my family was getting the leftovers at that point, right? I was home at times, but I wasn't home. You ever been there? Like you're not really present when you're there. You might be in proximity. And I just realized, okay, something's got to change. So I went to my partner at the time, Gidget Graham. She's here in town, great dear friend of mine. And I just said, hey, Gidget, something's got to change. I can't keep doing this. Like what fires me up is being the best at what I do. And doing 2 full-time jobs, I felt like I was kind of halfway on both of them, and that was not gratifying to me. And the worst thing was my wife and my kids were getting the leftovers of me. So long story short, we kind of blew up the team, or the brokerage, and I just said, I'm just going to focus on just kind of my friends and family and kind of go back to the basics and just do that referral business. At the same time, when you're really going through that kind of tension in life, like the books you listen to change, the mentors you speak with change, the podcasts change, right? What I'm reading out of my Bible changed. And God really took me on this journey, and he said, Matt, like you got to blur the lines. I was trying to compartmentalize my life, where I had my marriage and my kids and my business and our contribution, all these different things, and it was exhausting. It was like spinning all these plates. And that's really what One Life, the podcast, is all about, is we got to blur the lines. Like it's my faith and my family and my greater mission and values fleshed out through my business. So it's, again, not separation. This is the life we're building together. We took the kids to Guatemala to serve. We took them in the city to serve. So it's not mom and dad doing it. It's we're on mission as a family to do it. So if dad's not home for dinner, Brandon knows why, because we're on mission as a family. But he also knows when he can count on me. I'll be home on these times or these mornings or whatever. And that's really this journey I've been on. That's the whole One Life idea. But through that journey, the first step was proximity, right? I remember having lunch with Tom Ferry. You guys are all Tom Ferry fans with the F&F relationship. But I had lunch with Tom years ago, and I said, man, we're crushing it at work, but my family, he said, Matt, you got to buy more time. I'm like, what do you mean? Because you got to trade money for time. And that was difficult because I don't know about you guys, but a lot of us follow these industry prescribed playbooks, and the P&L says you can only allocate certain percentage toward personnel or towards operations or towards marketing. Well, according to the P&L, I couldn't afford more help, but according to we're fueling our investments, we have money in the bank, I could afford more help. So I overstaffed myself to buy me more freedom. Well, what happened is I ended up at home a lot more, which is great. I got the proximity. But there's a moment I'll never forget. Some of you might have heard this before, but I'm sitting on the couch at home in this season, and I think I've arrived, right? I'm home more, I'm the present husband and father, so I think. And my wife says, Matt, like Mia, my daughter, she's been talking to you for 5 minutes. You didn't look up from your phone once. Like you do this all the time to her. And I was crushed. Like I was just obviously consumed by some email or some urgent deal that we all deal with in our industry, right? And I was like, okay, something's got to change. I'm here physically, but I'm not here emotionally, mentally, and so forth, right? Has anybody ever been there? Okay, I think we all could agree. So I'm like, okay, proximity is great, but that doesn't mean I'm present. So how do I get more present? And I'll take you guys through a little bit of framework. And it doesn't look like anybody have notepads in front of them. If you want to take a note on your phone, do it. But this is a really powerful framework that I've kind of honed in recently. But really it's a process. I said, okay, what's really keeping me from stepping away confidently to be present with my family? And all of us have what I would call choke points in our business. If you think about it, when you're home in evenings and weekends, there's probably 1 or 2 primary things in your business that's preventing you from really being present, from stepping away confidently. For me, it's just the active listings and the current escrows, right? It's the 911, the got a minutes, the urgent questions. and it's just frequent enough that it prevents you from actually being present. Anybody relate to that? Okay, totally. On the sales side, escrow side, all of you guys can relate to that, totally. Oh, by the way, who feels like realtors are more needy than ever? Right? It's because our clients are more needy than ever, right? Again, it's kind of this race to the bottom. Everybody wants more, everybody's demands are higher, and they want it done instantly, instant gratification, whether or not. I literally got in an argument last night, guys, with one of my clients because he was upset that I made a comment about being home with my family. And he challenged me, he said, oh, so you want to only call me during my work day? And it turned into this little tiff. I don't know if you heard that, Brandon, if you were home, but it was, it got heated for a minute. But that time's sacred to me, you know. So I work really, really hard within the hours I give it, so that way I can be present for my family. But anyways, I could talk all day about that. But stepping away confidently. So I started looking at my business, say, okay, what are the real choke points in my business? So this little framework for stepping away confidently has 6 steps. I just want to give you guys, if you want to write them down, I can get them to John and he can get them out to you guys. But the first step is this. If you really just blue sky real quick, what are the choke points? What are the 2, 3, 4, 5 things that really keep me from stepping away confidently and being present? And I would encourage those of you that are married, ask your spouse that question too, because sometimes what you think is preventing you from being present, your spouse might say, oh no, that doesn't seem to be the issue. That's the issue. And I know my wife and I have had this conversation and she pointed out things different than what I thought, but she sees what really derails me emotionally, and those are the things that we had to build guardrails around. But once you do the choke points, you're going to ultimately choose a problem to solve. So for me, my problem to solve was, okay, I'm dealing with these Gotta minutes literally all night, all weekend, because clients have questions, and they're important questions. So that was my choke point. That's the problem I needed to solve. And then the success criteria. Okay, what would a successful system look like? What are 5, 6 success criteria? If I built this solution to this problem, how do I know if it's working, right? For me, it was, okay, my clients are still being served at a super high level, 5-star reviews are still coming in, referrals are still coming in, and I'm present. I'm able to put the phone away and actually be with my family. That's how I would know if it was successful. The 4th step is this, obstacles. Once you've kind of identified the big vision, what you're working towards, what success looks like, okay, what are the obstacles, what are the problems I have to solve to take care of each of these, problems along the way to build this system? And then what are the 5th step is, what are the strategies to get past those obstacles? And what I would encourage each of you guys in your own teams, everybody's going to be a part of this, part of the conversation. You're all going to identify different obstacles, but you all need to be part of the strategies. And that's the teamwork, is how do we lock arms together, because we all want the same objective, incredible service, more referrals, and be present at home. So be part of the solutions as a team, and maybe your spouses are involved too. I don't know, mine was. And then ultimately action steps, right? Once we have the obstacles and we have the strategies to offset each of those, what are the first 3 or 4 action steps to put this plan in place? So I could do a whole nother talk just on this whole process, but it's incredibly powerful. We just did a marriage retreat that I hosted in Colorado 2 weeks ago, and we took couples through this framework, and they said it was life-changing for them when they actually did the whole framework, because it will really just bring to life, oh, we can actually solve this problem if we just slow down enough to talk about the obstacles and brainstorm as a team on how to come up with the strategies. So just want to share that with you as a little side nugget, but pivot back to the business. So what I'm known for, I'm talking really fast, I know, because I'm trying to honor the time that John told me I have. So we're known for client experience in our business. Many of you guys know I coach with Tom Ferry. I've been fortunate enough to get quite a few speaking reps or panel reps or different things with Tom specific to client experience. So we're kind of known for celebrating moments in transactions, or maybe these wow closing experiences, or pop buys, or friends and family events, and the stuff you think of when you hear client experience. But when I was doing the stepping away confidently process and really saying, hey, what are the real problems of my business? What I learned along the way is solving that problem actually provided even better service to my clients. And what I learned through this process is, like, when you hear client experience, you think of champagne and balloons, and that stuff's great and it's fun. Every once in a while you send people out in a limo and you forget to bring them home, right? So there's another story for John sometime. But it's what's way more important than champagne and balloons is what I've learned is that our client's experience will rise and fall based on the communication they receive. I'll say that again. Your client's experience, your realtor that you work with, and our buyers and sellers, our experience will rise and fall based on the communication that we receive. So no matter how nice of a bottle of champagne I get my client at closing, if they didn't know what's going on along the way, I'm not going to make up for that bad experience. Something I like to say all the time is uncertainty equals anxiety, right? If your client, and your client might be the buyer or seller, might be the realtor, but if they don't know what's going on, they are not having a good experience. Another thing I just challenge all of you guys on is most of the realtors, not most, many of the realtors you guys work with do not have a good leader or trainer that they work for, which means they need you. Like they really need you to fill that gap. And I think it's a massive opportunity for you guys in your space to be a better leader and trainer is than their current leader and trainer is, because they probably don't have a really great one, honestly. So I know there's some really great brokers in town, don't hear me wrong, but there's a lot of low-hanging fruit. There are people that need some guidance. So the other thing I like to say, we have a mantra that we kind of adopted for our team. John's heard this many times, but the phone rings for new business only. And I would challenge you guys to adopt that. The phone rings for new business only. So in my context, my client should never have to call me and say, hey, Matt, hey, Molly, hey, Kristen, what's going on with blank? What's next with blank? What's going on with the marketing of my home? What's the feedback on the home showing? Did you do all the things you said you're going to do to market my home? What's next in the escrow process, right? We should be 2 steps ahead of everything in the process where we're answering their questions before they have them. So for us, practically, like we built this listing servicing system. This was part of that stepping away confidently for me. We built this system to where when I go to a listing presentation and show you everything we're going to do to market your home, well, instead of sending you one email 2 weeks later that says, hey, here's all the things I've done, can we get a price reduction, right? Well, the seller wants to know, why is that the answer? Like, why are you just now telling me what you've done to market my home, if a realtor's told them at all? What we've done is we've reverse engineered it, and we literally send updates every single day. Here's the campaign we just launched at LA County. Here's the ad we just launched to your neighborhood. Here's the meta ad. Here's the AdWorks campaign. Here's the YouTube video. We've done what every realtor should be doing anyways. We've just strategically spaced out the communication so the client's constantly getting told what they're doing. But what that does is kind of the idea of sports. John mentioned my love for sports. Many of you guys probably agree. I know huge Golden Knights family here, right? But think of hockey, right? If you're on the ice or like a football field, if you're on your heels, right? That's how most of us run our business. That's a very vulnerable position to be in, right? It's exhausting. Like I'm like literally just firefighting all day, taking the phone calls, answering the questions, and I'm doing it at dinner time. I'm doing it on the weekends. It's exhausting. But picture like on the football field, when you're on your toes, right? Like you're the one initiating the contact. That's a powerful position to be in sports, but it's a very powerful position to be in our business too. When you're ahead of everything, I'm initiating all the contact with my clients. So that way what happens is if I can answer all their questions before they have them, I get to go home not exhausted from this all day. So I'm going home with emotional and mental bandwidth left for who and what matters most in my life. And you guys are in this exact same position in the escrow side. You can do the exact same thing because realtors are wearing you guys out. I know they are. All day, all night, all weekend. So very, very transferable for you guys. And ultimately, the goal is a better service for the client and then more time for you, again, to be present when you get home. So that's just a short version of kind of our philosophy on communication. And I know I'm going fast here, guys. I can always provide more details or whatever, John, if anything you want to get out to your team. So who likes great experiences in this room? Cruises, hotels, wine and dine, all that stuff, right? I love it. So this is a little analogy that I put some thought into that I think you guys will all resonate with. My wife and I love going out to nice dinners. That's like our thing. If we travel, we're already looking at the restaurants probably before we even book the hotel or book the flights. Like let's go, spoil ourselves. But if you think about a really great dining experience, I made a bunch of notes of what that might look like. And as I share this, I want you to hear this through the context of your escrow and title business, okay? So think about this. I show up to a restaurant. Mr. and Mrs. Farnham, happy anniversary, right? It's not, hey, just another client. They're going to call me by name, and they recognize whatever I probably put into their intake form, which is a birthday or anniversary or whatever that was, right? Your table's already set for you at the right number of plates. Anybody sit down with your spouse for a date and there's 4 tables and you have to wait for them to claim the stuff and put it away? It's annoying. But when they already take you to the table because they know you're 2 people and it's already set up perfectly, that's a beautiful touch point, right? Allergies are confirmed before I have to ask. If people have allergies, they don't like to have to repeat them. So if I already put it on an intake form, hey, Mr. Farnham, I just want to confirm, we know that you are, gluten-free or whatever. Oh, thank you for remembering. Yes. Great touch point. The waiter comes over and shares the specials of the night without me having to ask for them, right? They let me know the items they're out of before I tell them what I want. Oh, we're out of that. That's so frustrating. You guys ever done that at a nice restaurant? It should not be that way. It's just communication. It's getting ahead of it, right? They fill my water without me having to ask. They fill my wine glass without me having to ask. They replace my napkin without me having to ask. They replace the silverware for the steak that I ordered without me having to ask. And they do all this stuff ahead of time, right? The crumbs are cleared before I have time to sweep them away myself. The crumber guy is coming right behind the busser, is coming right behind the server. It clears the plates. And then, of course, the check comes, and I have a pedophore. I said petite four, I'm reading my writing. A pedophore, or like even at Andy's Men at Olive Garden, like something. Just give me something sweet. Like it's just a nice little touch point that you get at these restaurants, right? And then on the way out, thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Farnham, again, happy anniversary. And then maybe an email within 24 hours, right? Afterwards, hope you had an amazing experience. Anybody had an experience like that at a restaurant? Right? You're going to go back. And by the way, I'd rather pay $300 for dinner in that experience than pay $100 for dinner with a mediocre experience, right? I'm sure, but think about how expensive buying or selling homes is, or how much people are paying for title and escrow and all these things. Like, they demand this type of service now. They really do. But as I describe that dining experience, here's the summary. Think about the overall pace of an amazing vacation or experience. You know, from the welcome to the drinks, to the ordering, to the arrival of the food, to the payment of the check, it all feels natural and not rushed. There was no moment where it felt hectic, it felt last minute, it felt perfectly spaced out, it wasn't all too much at once. That's the perfect dining experience. That's what we should deliver as an escrow and title company. That's what we should deliver as a residential real estate company, where, you know, on short sale days, like you would do all this work and you like hurry up and wait, and then the bank would say, okay, we need all these 10 things like by yesterday at 12 o'clock. So frustrating, terrible experience, but that's a lot of escrow and closing experiences, guys. We wait, and all of a sudden, because the lender's dragging their feet and communication wasn't on point, it feels like we're all moving heaven and earth in like a 24-hour period. Our clients feel that, and it's not a good experience. And there's so many other examples I could give on my side of the fence, on the sales side. But I hope that lands for you guys as you think about how to build your business in a way that people really want. We'll pay for those experiences. But that takes internal teamwork, communication, and everybody has to be part of the mission of that great experience, whether you are on the sales side of the business, the escrow side of the business, management, and so forth. Everybody plays a role. And again, that's the obstacles and strategies. How do we build a system that allows me to provide an amazing service to my client, but step away confidently when it's time to step away? You're all part of that solution. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Cool. So moving on, how does this all relate, like my business and the dining experience and all that, how does this relate to your guys' business? Just to give you some practical examples of what this might look like for you. There's another mantra I talk about a lot in our business, and that's slow down to speed up. Like sometimes we need to just slow down, roll up our sleeves, get under the hood, build the processes, build the business, and that way we can then go a whole lot faster. And this is kind of what I'm talking about to build these types of systems out. But for you guys, some examples might be earnest money's in or not, right? Sometimes you guys say, hey, the earnest money came in, great. Well, how about letting us know when the earnest money's not in? Like, hey, it's 3 p.m. on the day that it's due. We don't have earnest money yet. Like, have that system built in where you're notifying the agent. Because our clients are asking us, we're already panicking and wondering about it. But anything that you guys get a phone call for, 90% of those, you could have prevented the phone call if you got ahead of it. And that's what I'm challenging you guys to think about, because that's what I've done in my business. Closing funds are received or not. That's a pain point that most title companies don't do well or consistently, is, hey, we received the closing funds. Let the buyer's and seller's agent know that. Or, hey, we're X number of hours away or days from closing, we don't have closing funds yet. Great, now I know to follow up on my end instead of just wondering if it's there or not. And I won't go in detail on the rest of these because you guys get the point. Prelim, red flags. Instead of setting a prelim out, say, hey, Matt, here's the prelim. By the way, here's 3 things that we noticed to bring to your attention. There's a conservation easement. There's taxes here. We've already looked into it. Here's a solution for that. It's solar on the home. Make sure you're getting this if you haven't already. Remember, there's a lot of agents out there that don't have great leaders and trainers. So solar could be a deal killer for a lot of these if they don't know what they're doing. So you have to assume that they might need a little bit more guidance. And a lot of these things, guys, are evergreen videos. You record it once, and you literally send it to every solar escrow you have, right? You record it once, and you send the EMD thing out for every client you have. Here's one, difference between title and escrow. Nobody knows that. Most realtors don't know the difference between title and escrow. So what if you open escrow, and they got something from Marisol or John or escrow or somebody that says, hey, I'm so-and-so on the team. I just want to explain to you what the difference between title and escrow is, because most people just aren't really clear on that. That's just, again, uncertainty brings anxiety. When buyers and sellers see this stuff, they see this language, all they know is they're paying double fees. I'm paying title fees, I'm paying escrow fees, like I'm paying a courier fee for 13 bucks. What's that one on Palm Agent, right? But clarity is kindness. So slow down so you can speed up, and then you can provide that amazing service and take a whole lot less God minutes and questions throughout your day and your weekends. Again, the phone rings for new business only. So be on the offense, not on the defense. John asked me to touch on teamwork as well. Am I doing okay on time? Okay, I'm talking super fast, guys. I'm sorry. Teamwork. So a couple things on teamwork is, number one, everyone plays a role in the obstacles and solutions as you guys are building this type of systems into your business. So I've already talked about that. The next thing is I would encourage you guys to think about what your mission is as a team. And that might be Chicago Title's mission and values and vision and all that. It might be your own unit. I know you guys work in units, right, with different escrow teams and so forth. Maybe you have a mission and values that you've created for your specific unit. But I would encourage you to think of it this way, and this might sound like a little cheesy, but imagine the experience for the client. If my mission is loving Las Vegas through real estate, and the way that we do that as a team, I really do believe that we're loving our city. When I work with a buyer or seller and I give them the best experience and results they can get in our industry, I believe I'm loving them and loving my city through that. The other thing is, yes, we donate and partner with some amazing people in town, and I'm loving our city through the most vulnerable that way as well. But imagine this experience is every interaction they have with my company, whether it's the first person taking, like a client relationship manager, when they're taking that new buyer seller, that first, hello phone call. Hey, our mission is loving Las Vegas through real estate. My name is Courtney. The way I do that on our team, the way I love Las Vegas through real estate is blank. And they explain their role on the process for the client. So imagine that kind of touch point. And then they're getting to the sales partner, me or another agent on the team. Hey, as you know, Stephanie, our mission is loving Las Vegas through real estate. The way I do that with our team is blank. And then they get to Molly, transaction manager. As you know, our mission is loving Las Vegas through real estate. The way that I contribute to that on our team is this. And we're just keep reinforcing that. But imagine the experience for the client when that consistency and that heartbeat is consistent. So I would encourage you guys it might not be that specific for you guys, but just as a philosophy, even if it's not verbally said, if the actions, if the heartbeat behind the actions is that internally for you guys, it's going to come through to the client and the experience. You guys tracking me? Is that making sense? So I would encourage you guys to really make sure we're really talking about the mission and we're aligned on that. And then here's a very, very powerful point for teamwork is, are all of you really, really clear on how you win the day? Raise your hand if you're clear on how you win the day. So a lot of people, especially in our industries, because there's so many balls flying all over the place, we're not really clear when we go home at night, did I win the day or not? Well, it's really hard to be present and let your guard down at home if you're like, well, did I earn it? Like, did I win the day? So I would encourage you guys to go through a process, either in your escrow units or bigger team or whatever, but get really clear on because I know there's like 6 different positions kind of in this room, I think John shared with me, everything from sales to escrow to title to management and so forth. But everybody has something that you can quantify, say, here's how I win the day. But here's the ultimate teamwork hack, is how do you help each other win the day? And think about that, because if I'm really clear how John wins the day, and I can just be mindful through my actions today to help John win the day, and I'm helping Marisol win the day, and you guys are helping me win the day, well, number one, culture is incredible. Service for the client is going to be great. But now all of us get to go home and we earned it. Because now I know I won the day. I deserve to put my feet up and hang out with the kids or watch the ball game because I earned it. But so many of us go home without the clarity, did we actually win the day? We don't know because we haven't clarified what is that. Does that make sense? So I would encourage you guys to spend some time thinking about that. And then how are you helping each other win the day? So why do all these things I'm talking about? What does results look like through this type of philosophy? Number one, I hope you can see a better experience for your clients with everything I just talked about. Offense versus defense. The phone rings for new business only. Getting ahead of everything. My favorite reviews, if you look at our reviews online, is when I have multiple that will say something like, we never had to pick up the phone because they were always answering our questions before they had them. Like, those are fun reviews to get. And we get a lot of those now because that's just this kind of our priority, what we focus on. So better experience for your clients, more raving fans, more referrals, repeat business. And then more importantly, here's what it looks like going home. Number one, we're ahead of it because we now can step away confidently because we've gotten ahead of it. So I have emotional and a mental bandwidth left for the people that matter most in my life. Number two, I feel fulfilled because I've contributed to the mission. We just talked about the mission that everybody's either verbally saying it or subconsciously, it's behind everything you guys are doing with your kind of seat on the bus and you're part of the process. But I'm going home fulfilled. That's a lot easier to be present when I feel like, I'm fulfilled. And then, did I win the day? I can rest easy because I earned it, right? There's clarity on earning it. And ultimately, guys, and I'll have a few minutes for questions maybe, but we all want more time. Like you've heard people say on their deathbed, like, we're all going to not wish we sold another house. We're going to wish we had more time with our loved ones. I would take it a step further. I think we're all going to wish for more uninterrupted focus time with our loved ones. That's presence, that's not proximity, right? There's a saying that a mentor said to me that I love. I said it recently on Tom's podcast, but there's no rich like relationship rich. Like some of us are working so hard, so many years to get rich or to build wealth, but there's nothing richer than great relationships. So when you build your business this way, in such a way that serves your clients but allows you to step away confidently, well, now you're able to be present and spend more time for the people that matter most, which are those relationships. And that's a rich life. So that's how I've tried to build my business and our life. Are we perfect? No. Trying to get better every day. But the more conversations we can have like this, and I'm locking arms with people tugging on the same rope, and we're building businesses like that, I think we're going to make an impact on our industry, serve our clients at a higher level, and hopefully have more fulfilling lives for each of you guys at home. I hope this episode encouraged you today. Thank you for subscribing, sharing, and rating the podcast. It truly means the world to me. And be sure to visit theonelifepodcast.com to join our community. That's where you'll find updates on virtual meetups, special events, and more. And remember, God created you on purpose for a purpose. You don't have to choose between a life of significance and a thriving business. You were made for both. This is One Life.